Hey guys, it's Adam with Grease Spot Garage. We are on another tour of another shop in Northeast Ohio. Today we are with Switch Cars in Highland
Twinsburg.
Heights. Twinsburg, off of Highland Road. The owner's Doug Tabbutt, and he's going to take us around, show us what we got going on. Let me introduce you. Guys, this is Doug Tabbutt.
Morning.
Current
Cannonball
record holder.
Yes.
Which, we'll discuss that a little bit here.
Sure. It didn't count because it was during COVID.
You know what? It don't matter. The speeds you guys got to hold, what, 103 mile an hour on the average or something like that?
That was our first one in 19. 110 was the average on the current record.
So which one did you do the run in the Monte Carlo?
So that was the C2C Express, which was a tribute to the original Cannonball.
Kinda
so
like
it was
the
all
924
vintage cars, right? So 1980 or older,
Right.
with a budget limitation as well.
Okay.
So that one, I think we averaged around 85 miles an hour in that. Partly due to, I think, 2.5 hours of breakdowns stopped on the side of the road. So that was 33.5 hours with 2.5 hours of breakdowns. But the overall record, in 19 it was the Mercedes E63, and in 2020 it was the Audi S6.
Right. So the C2C, what was your budget?
So the purchase budget for the car is $3,000. The loophole is there's unlimited budget for modifications. So I essentially had a pro touring Monte Carlo built with an LS1 engine, etc. I thought everybody was doing that, right? Because racing, you find the loophole and you cheat like crazy. Well, I show up and I'm the guy that I brought the friggin', gun to a knife fight, and everyone's like, "Oh man, you just came to smoke everybody." I'm like, I thought that's the point. It's a race.
It's a race. Yeah, we don't come in second.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's this is an active dealership, guys, so you'll see people in and out. Yeah, it's, to me, that's like, I used to follow the 9024 stuff. Being right on Route 90.
Yep.
I've always kind of wanted to run the route and everything else, and the thing that's probably stopped me the most in doing that is bail money. To be honest,
I don't know that any of us have ever gotten arrested on any Cannonball attempt. I'm not aware of any arrests. Not since, there was somebody in the original Cannonball in '79, I think it was, that was driving a Shelby. It was either a GT350 or GT500, and they got arrested in New Jersey for police impersonation.
You're fine. You're fine.
So they got arrested in Jersey for police impersonation, but that was because they had badges from a friend, and they didn't say these are from a friend. They kind of intimated that they were cops. So that's why they got arrested, not because they were speeding.
Yeah, no, that's a little bit.
Yeah.
Huh. And then who's the crew that ran down dressed in army uniforms?
Army uniforms in the original Cannonball or recently? I'm not sure. I don't know. There's a lot of runs that have been happening.
In like an old 9C1 Caprice.
Oh, okay. That was during one of the 2904s. I think that was John Ficara and a couple other guys. I don't remember who the other guys were, but was the organizer of the 2904.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because there's a couple of you guys up here that run that. You got Sean out in Mayfield, right?
Yep.
And then you got
Jason, Mark Spence.
Mark over in
there's a lot of guys in Ohio that
Mark's
that
doing
run
interior stuff now.
Yep. Yeah, you should check out his shop. He's doing headliners and interior door panels and fixing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he hangs out with a couple guys that do some of the RC drifting and some of the drift stuff. Actually, one of my cousins, always cousins he hangs out with.
Yep.
So, I've been wanting to get over there because he was doing car sales too. But I think now he's moving more towards interior stuff, right?
Yeah.
Is he at what, Cleveland
He was working at Cleveland Motorsports doing
Okay.
pickups, deliveries, all sorts of stuff. Kind of their
Right.
gopher, do anything, solve problems guy.
Yeah, hey guys,
And-
any way you can get in. You want to push a broom, it doesn't matter. Get in the shops. That's how you start.
Yep.
You know, what's Thompson, the old drag strip?
Thompson Dragway.
Who's the guy next to that used to run the Porsche stuff?
That I'm not sure of.
He had a couple of race cars. My brother-in-law used to work for him. He started out pushing brooms on the floors and ended up being one of his mechanics.
Oh, out east. I'm thinking of a different dragway. Yeah. So that was, I think that was Bill Kemper with Panel Works.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
When my brother-in-law he worked for him when he was in high school. Just
Yep.
started out pushing brooms and ended up building some nice cars while he was there.
Yep. Well, both Pete Jackson of Pete's Custom Coach Building and Jesse Nolan of Across the Pond Restoration both started out working for Bill Kemper, and now they own their own restoration shops. So those are shops you should check out as well. But to your point, they started out working for another guy. Now they have, you know, nationally recognized, award-winning restoration shops.
You know, you ever Fidanza's, Lou Fidanza? You ever met him?
Nope.
Yeah. A buddy of mine used to work for him over at the Plowville shop.
Mhm.
Actually, when they were still building Jag engines, and dyno and Jag engines, they still had the race team.
Yeah.
With the old E-Type.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there really is a lot of neat stuff in Northeast Ohio. I keep telling everyone it's kind of a hotbed
Oh yeah.
for car activity.
Yep.
You know, it really is.
Yep.
So, what got you into Porsches though? Because you're from Maine, right?
Yeah, I'm from Maine.
Misplaced Pinecone?
Misplaced Pinecone, yeah. I was always interested in cars. I've always loved cars. In Maine, there's not really access to a lot of high-end cars. I did.
Access to roads, period.
Well, the roads are great if they're maintained, but the back roads up there are fantastic. But I did have the good fortune of being able to work for the Bear Collection in high school because they were right up the street from me, which is if you're into like pre-war antique stuff, that's a world-renowned Packard, Duesenberg, etc. collection. So that was really cool. I got to cut my teeth a little bit on the old cars. I knew nothing about them when I started, but got an education in them. And I was kind of the gopher guy there, right? I was the guy with the quick detail or, you know, just doing whatever I was told to do, whatever I was allowed to do, given my lack of qualification. And I'd visit exotic car dealerships in Boston, and I just chased cars, and so I feel like this was kind of inevitable.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of explains a lot. Like me, you know, I grew up around my father having some cars, all my uncles, all into the classic 60s stuff, the muscle cars, the race cars, you know, more drag cars than anything else. Never could really get into circle track racing, but man, we did a lot of drag racing. I grew up 15 minutes up the road from a drag strip. We were there all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Grudge night, I mean, you know, out Perry, Ohio, you know? And so it kind of explains a lot because, you know, I was wondering what got you in towards the exotics, you know, stuff like this. And here it's because your first job was at a high level place where you were introduced to the cars that we weren't introduced to.
Sure.
You messed around with, you know, pre-war stuff. You know, who gets to touch Duesenberg? Who gets to touch a Duesenberg at, you know, 50?
Right.
You know, nobody.
I didn't even like those cars when I started, though. Like, it was boring to me. The coolest car, in my opinion, they had there was a 61 Ferrari 250 Pininfarina Cabriolet.
Yeah.
And,
stunning.
like, that was one of the cheapest cars in the whole collection besides a Ferrari 308. Or, no, they had two Corvette C4s. That was... But, like, those were cool to me. The other stuff, I'm like, well, this is interesting and they're beautiful, but I was always into the exotics, right? I read the magazines, and so that's what I had the posters on the wall. So that helped me broaden my appreciation and understanding of automotive history.
Right.
But, yeah, when I started there, I didn't know the difference between a Duesenberg and a Packard, and I didn't care.
So, Porsches. So now
Yeah.
you're more of you're like the go-to GT3 guy.
Yes.
So you know them in and out. You know all the little specs. You're that guy that nerds out on this stuff.
Sure.
So why the Porsche? Is it more because of the performance?
So
The
I always
track
say that the more I dealt with Ferraris, the more I liked Porsches. Because Ferraris, I didn't have a lot of posters of Porsches on my wall growing up.
Right.
I was into the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, the,
the
crazy
pretty red
exotic stuff,
and,
right?
yeah.
The Jaguar XJ220, McLaren F1, Ice Dira, De Tomaso, all the crazy stuff. But dealing with them and living with them, Porsches stood out as being usable, reliable, functional. They're not beautiful, other than maybe the Carrera GT, but they're just really good cars. You can get in and go. You don't have to deal with the issues that come along, the temperamental stuff with Ferraris. And so
$20,000 belt services.
Exactly. I mean, Porsches have their stuff, like all cars do, but it's just they're so easy to just get in and go. And performance-wise and driving, I mean, they're far better driving cars than Ferraris typically. And certainly for comparable money, they're better, right? So a $250,000 GT3 RS is comparable to a $750,000, 488 Pista or something like that, right? So the value for dollar was there. So I think that's what kind of got me more into Porsches.
More attainable.
Yeah. I daily drive a 911, but I still have models and posters of Ferraris, right? They'll always be that to me because they're crazy good looking.
Oh, yeah.
And a Porsche isn't.
Yeah.
But the Porsche is the one that's easy to use and get in every day.
So my question's always been, what's the difference between a GT2 and a GT3?
Easy.
Because I know a couple guys that have a couple of GT2s.
Right. Easy difference is turbo.
Okay.
GT2 is the GT version of the any 911 turbo.
Right.
The GT3 is, or GT3 RS is essentially the homologated version of the GT3 Cup race car. So it's a naturally aspirated. They're coming from two different lineages, right? The turbo is the flagship, very fast but also comfortable, heavily optioned street vehicle, and that's where the GT2 comes from. It's a more raw version of that, whereas the GT3 is taking its lineage from a race car and they're making a streetable version of a race car.
Okay.
That's the basic, lineage. They're coming from different ways.
I always kind of wondered what the...
Right. Except the 993 GT2, because if you go back, the 993 GT was a twin turbo, but they did actually, that was a race car. So the 993 GT2 Evo was an actual race car. And now, of course, you can get the GT2 RS Club Sport, which is a factory race car. But the gist of it is the lineage, one comes from a street car, the other one comes from a race car.
Okay. Well.
And one's twin turbo,
does that transfer
aspirated.
a lot into the way they drive, the way they handle?
I think so. I mean, the GT2 non-RS is much softer than a GT3. A GT3 is much more raw. So you could daily drive a GT2, in my opinion, comfortably. A GT3 is not really for the faint of heart.
You better really like the car to drive it like that.
Yeah,
you really gotta. Okay. All right. Well, hey, let's take a look around real quick.
Sounds good.
So what do we got here? What's this one?
This is a 1969 911S.
So the S is actually a whole lot rarer than the
T.
This is the one that everybody kind of picks.
Well, the RS would be the one.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
That's the high level one.
That's what I was thinking.
69, they didn't have an RS. S was the top trim line in 69. Faster, different brake calipers, different suspension components, similar to modern S trim line, right? The base 911 is a 3.4, 3.6, and the S is increased displacement, bigger brakes, different suspension. So
See.
just it's the performance model.
See what I mean? Nerding out.
That's basic
It's
stuff. You
like
want to
me.
get into
It's like
color
me getting.
codes?
Oh yeah, no. This is like me getting into you know, V-body Chevys. You
Yeah.
know, I mean.
Sure.
So is this one for sale?
Yep.
Or is this
Yeah,
personal? Everything
here
in here
is for sale.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we hide the stuff not for sale in the back. All the broken cars.
All the broken cars.
All the Aston Martins are in back.
And V10 BMWs and.
Yeah, right. Yep. You gotta get that. That's the GT3 RS.
Well,
that's
we're
the.
gonna walk
that's
over
the
there in a
bread and
minute.
butter. All right.
We're going over there in a minute.
So Doug. Go. What's your name again? Mike from
Porsche thumbs up.
Hey.
Drop off.
Yeah.
For your show.
Oh, sweet.
And
Thanks.
then boys down. Cool. So, we'll make something.
Sounds great. Sounds great. It's gonna be a fun time.
Will be big show.
No, I mean just our preferred vendors. So I
Okay.
just want to kind of thank them, do something for them. Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We'll get back too. Sweet. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have fun. See your hands full.
See you next week. Absolutely. Nice to meet you, Mike.
Nice to meet you too. We'll see you.
The only car Dodge ever did right, as far as I was concerned. Those things are so raw. They're just even the like the very first ones. I mean, no windows, zip them up.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
They're actually my '63 Bel Air that we're building right now. Full LS swap. I mean, we're full on show car. That is just should have named it Plum Budget. But it's getting the Dodge Viper GTS blue pearl paint,
Mm-hmm.
black on top, throwing actually extra metallic and extra pearl into it. Full air ride suspension, 2.5-inch drop. You name it. That's being done over in Sydney, Ohio right now.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, I know my limitations. I know when to stop working on things because it's just going to get really, really bad. And that usually comes to body work.
Sure.
So, I haven't seen one of these yet.
I tend to stop at putting gas in cars.
Yeah.
I can do more, but my time is better spent elsewhere. So.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, they say the smartest people on earth surround them with people that are smarter than them.
Right.
You know.
Old Andrew Carnegie line.
So, what's the deal with the Jag?
That's a 15 F-Type R, so it's a supercharged 5-liter V8. This one has ceramic brakes, which is awesome. And this is the only year, I guess, of the R in rear-wheel drive. After this, they were all-wheel drive.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of the most raw, and I think they changed the exhaust programming and tuning as well a couple years later, so you didn't get the like crazy raucous noise that this one makes. So this is kind of seen by the Jaguar enthusiasts as like the best year to have.
Okay, so that's definitely the one you want.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, all-wheel drive's got its advantages as far as takeoff and everything else, but it's just something about a back end scrolling all over the place that
If you know how to
kind of
drive,
warms the cockles of the heart. You know what I mean?
If you know how to drive, rear-wheel drive is better every time.
Well, my daughter, her first truck was her first car was an F-150. My wife cut her teeth driving a Buick Roadmasters. You know, in the winters up here, out in the snow belt. You know, so yeah, I definitely taught my kids how to do it. And the little Miatas.
Yep.
These cars are fun.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
I mean, they are a blast.
Of course, you know, Miata stands for Mazda is always the answer. Yeah. Mazda Speed version, turbocharged. It's,
So that's one of the turbo ones.
Yep.
Okay. Now you got people LS swapping them things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be a real handful. I actually just put the brakes off of one of these on my 63. Did the full swap. So I guess my 63 is better than your 63 now.
I mirrors off the C5 on Ultra Beige, the Monte Carlo for the C2C Express, because it came with the tiny little factory mirrors. You couldn't see jack squat
Right.
behind you, which the old saying is what's behind you doesn't matter, but for safety,
When they got
for
lights,
real,
it does.
Yeah. Or if you got to merge or whatever. So
Yeah.
I put the C5 mirrors on, and I felt like that was a tribute to the LS1 under the hood as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is, I like them, but I don't know, man. It's, this is gonna sound weird coming from a guy that's building a show car that's Viper blue and black, but it's kind of flashy.
It's not for everyone.
You know? This is definitely for the guy in the Skechers. So with the Porsches, so a lot of people don't really understand why they call them the 993s, the 996s, and what's the
There's
difference?
no
Is it
science
engine
to it.
displacement
No,
or?
it has nothing to do with that. It's just their internal model designation.
Okay.
So BMW has E38, E36,
Right.
etc.
It's just their next generation.
Right. Mercedes has R129, W212, etc. It's just their internal code.
Right. Yeah, no, a lot of people think it's it's just CC displacement or something like that.
Nope.
I'm like, no way.
No, Ferrari and BMW are most known for using the engine displacement in not their internal names, but the actual model name
Right.
of the car.
The 530, the 545.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
The 360 was 3.6 liters. The 458 was 4.5 liter V8, but it wasn't consistent. They would change that. So it's
So how many Porsche do you have in stock?
10-ish.
Okay. See, guys, look, they're not all. It's like an old Buick back there. Is that a Buick?
GTO.
Oh, GTO. Okay. It was a Pontiac product. I thought you said these were all out back.
Well, this one's almost done, actually. It was out back for 6 months. We're just waiting on center caps and door struts.
Wow. 6 months, huh?
Really wasn't anything wrong with the car. It was a comedy of errors. It was fixing common Aston Martin stuff, and it's not even really Aston Martin stuff. It was the headliner and the LCD screens.
Well, and not only that, I mean, the type of car you sell, you don't want to put something out there that really has any kind of issues.
That's our goal, yeah.
You need them. I mean, it's the guy's not coming in looking for a project car.
Right.
He's not looking for something he wants to work on. He wants something he can drive, something he can get into, not worry about, and just, have fun with it for however long he's going to have fun with it and go buy another one.
Yep.
You know? This, I think the only BMW I ever had, I had a 2001. It was a M5.
Those are awesome cars.
Yes, it was. For a little bit until my wife was driving it and the CVS up there on 91. She hit the curb going over and cracked the upper part of the oil pan.
Ooh, that's.
You know how long it took me to fix? That's not an easy job. And then it slowly turned into problem after problem. But it was also a car that had 200,000 miles on it. You know? So, that a survivor car, or is that has he been restored?
No, it has been repainted. It is the original color according to the PHS build sheet.
Right.
But no, it's not original.
So this one here has been kind of eyeballing me since I walked into this building. That is an interesting color.
So it's mint green, which is a Porsche color from this era, but it is not the original color for this car, and it's not even paint. This is a wrap. It's an ocean blue car underneath.
Okay.
And the guy did a full 3.8 liter engine build, suspension, interior, etc. Kind of like a RS tribute,
Right.
but not a full clone, and got spent out of money because, what'd you say, blown budget?
Yeah.
So he didn't want to do the paint work on the car, so he just wrapped it instead, which ended up kind of hurting it on resale, because if he had repainted it in ocean blue, it would have sold for top dollar already. But having the wrap on it, as much as it's a nice color, everybody that looks at it goes, oh, well, I got to pull the wrap off and finish the paint. So it's,
yeah, and then a lot of people worry
difficult.
about, if wraps aren't taken off right, they can destroy paint, they can damage paint.
Which in this case, it doesn't matter, because we have photos underneath and we know it needs paint anyway.
Right.
Like, there's nothing wrong with the body. It's just, so like taking it off isn't a big deal. It's
Right.
just somebody has to budget for that and go, oh, well, I got to spend 25 grand to paint it properly.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, wraps have come a long way. It looks good, but. So I was just mentioning where it looks like there's orange peel on the car, and I really wasn't picking it apart. Just, kind of saying, I could see where a wrap would come in, and thinking that the condition of the paint underneath may be causing some of that, because sometimes on a wrap and even ceramic coats, you got to go through paint prep and everything else,
Right.
Because it will transfer out.
Sure.
But you were saying on the orange peel that it is a very, very factory.
Yes. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, different wraps can have more or less orange peel, but some level of orange peel is correct on this era of Porsche.
What year is this?
This is 96.
Okay.
So a totally original car that hasn't been buffed too much, you'll see quite a lot of orange peel. And
Okay.
there's a joke around here, because there's a detailer that was nicknamed the Porsche Killer, because he'd make them like a mirror finish, which people liked, but it took the orange peel out of the clear coat, and you can't put that back.
Right. Now,
Once
see,
it's gone, it's gone.
if it was me, I would gravitate towards the core with the mirror flat finish.
Mm-hmm.
But when you got the collector and the true enthusiast, he's going for the core.
Right.
It's got the orange peel in it. That is
Right.
more factory correct.
Same thing with underneath, right? People dry ice blast it,
Right.
for good reason. It looks amazing, and you're getting a
But
lot
the
of
undercoat's supposed to be there.
But if you want truly original, you'd say, well, you have the factory Cosmoline, that tells you that the car is original. So it's like,
Right.
there's pros and cons to each side of it.
Right. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're gonna keep the car, do what you want. But if you plan on using them as an investment and selling them, you gotta think that far ahead down the road. What's it gonna affect? We got roll cage in it.
Yep.
You drove this one.
I did, yeah.
She fun?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly not harsh. It looks like it would just beat you up, and it's
Yeah, it does.
It's built well for street back road driving. It's not a track build.
Okay.
It's really easy to drive.
Yeah, and there's the old adage, you can either have a race car or you don't. You can't have both.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in these cars you kind of can, but track built car, you're not going to want to drive it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to beat the teeth out of your mouth and smack your back all over the place. Which one is this?
65 230 SL.
Yeah, I always liked these cars. I always thought these were just beautiful cars, great dashes.
Yeah. This era of Mercedes is about the prettiest, I think.
Now, there's a guy out here in Medina that's got.
Hold on, I have to take that back. That is a really dumb statement. This era of Mercedes is the prettiest in the modern era.
Right.
The old
Yeah,
540Ks and SSKs, nothing comes close.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
There's a guy out in Medina that's got a bunch of old Mercedes and stuff like that. I think he's out off of Weymouth, but he's got a couple of the aluminized body ones and stuff like that. And I stopped there to look at a couple of his cars, and he was trying to sell me on a 99 or a 2000 995. All right, different phone. Killed my camera. It's not a bad price on that Mercedes.
No, these are a heck of value.
No, they are. This is oh, this is the E55.
E55.
Nice.
There's a bunch of Rentec stuff on it.
Oh, really?
Yes. And a limited slip differential. So.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Smoky burnouts for days. I mean, a comparable BMW, right? So an E39 M5 of this era would be 40 grand.
Right.
50 grand. I mean, it's got some miles on it, but yeah.
Yeah, maintenance though. Usually guys with cars like these tend to maintain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And, I used to be one of them guys, all maintenance records. And, too many owners. But a couple of the videos you've done on your Switchcast, yeah, I understand the thinking. The car's got 10 owners. It's probably had 10 really well dealer preps,
Or let's say 2 of the owners were bad. They didn't own it long enough
Right.
to do anything, right? And the other 8 owners got caught up on maintenance.
Right.
Right? But if you have 2 owners, but one of them was bad, that means 8 years of its life it was neglected.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I understand it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So you have an orange one, right?
Orange.
Lamborghini?
Yes. Yeah. Diablo.
Oh, you got Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
Roadster or
6-liter coupe.
Okay.
Yep.
With a real shifter?
Yes. Yeah. All the Diablos are manual.
That's what I know. Well, I lost a leg a few years back. I don't know, 25 years back. That's one thing I miss.
Yeah.
I can still do it, but a lot of people don't like me driving cars that have 3 pedals with, 1.5 feet. Or 1 foot, essentially. Used to have a Jeep I drove all over the place. Drove my wife crazy. So how often do you get the GT3s in?
Not as often as we used to.
So I remember you guys used to have a
gone up a lot.
lot of them.
Yeah, we try to chase the lower dollar value stuff. It's better margins, less risk, and quicker turns. So.
And so with you going with the lower ones, how often do you have to put like major work into them?
Not very often.
But if they come in needing it, you guys get it done. You get it
Yeah.
done right.
Yeah, I mean, we do IMS bearings on 911s. We do rod bearings and throttle actuators on M3s, we do what the cars need. We try not to buy cars that have major needs, but
It's a buying car, man. You just get them, you know?
Yep.
So what year is this one?
2008.
Okay. How many miles are on it?
17,000.
That's not too bad. Enjoyed.
Yep.
Let's see. If I had the money to maintain one, they'd have 1,000,000 miles on them.
These are really, really not bad on maintenance. They are incredibly reliable.
Yeah, but it's what was it? The Pan America. Took my buddies in to get an oil change one time for them, and they hit me with like a $600 oil change bill.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Part of that is
An air filter. I had to pull the whole front end off.
yeah. Part of that is Panameras are junk, but part of that is just the oil, like the amount of oil, right? So 911 is 12 quarts of oil, so 12 quarts of synthetic oil is not cheap, right?
No, it's not. Yeah.
So you're talking $150, $200
So these-
in oil.
These got 12-quart pans.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I did not know that.
Yeah. So that's part of your expense there. But then, dealers charging you $200+ an hour too. So.
Oh yeah, and then we get. I was reading up somewhere on them that you really don't check the oil with a stick. You got to go through and check the oil level on the computers and
Yes.
everything else, and then you got to drive it for so long and then
Yeah.
recheck it. And
Yeah, it has to be warm, but not running. So at least on the 997, the car has to be fully up to temperature, but then you have to shut it off for like 5 minutes to get it to cool down just enough to get a proper reading. And it has to be on a level surface and all that. So they typically recommend, like there's a reminder that pops up on the screen when you get gas that'll say check engine oil level, at least on mine.
so my question is, when you sit there and you, that's for the Mercedes, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you sit there and do the oil changes on them, you got to measure all the oil coming out. So when you fill it back up, you're not short. Because if you're short, you're starting a car with not much oil on it that you now have to heat up.
Well, but if it was low when it comes out, and you measure it coming out, and you only put that much in, you still could be short. Because they do burn some oil.
Right. That would just make me nervous. Especially with a car that that is wound as tight as these are, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you can run them a quart low. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just, definitely something I would not attempt to do on my own.
Yeah. I wouldn't take
I
the
would-
racetrack quart low, but if you're doing an oil change and getting it up to temperature to get the proper reading, then
Yeah, that was something I would definitely take to the dealership to get done. Just to make sure it's done absolutely correct, you know. And I'm not afraid to work on anything, but they're too nice of cars to be messing up. Alright guys, that was Switch Cars. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I know I like seeing this stuff. Doug, very nice guy. Very, very welcoming. Always got very nice inventory. You heard of he's just an average everyday guy that followed a dream. And this is what he has. So, just because you have a certain background or you were introduced to a certain car doesn't mean that this stuff's out of reach. It's within reach to anybody. You just have to put the work in to do it. And you have to want to do it. Get into the right places, talk to the right people. Start in a shop. You heard him. He started working out in pre-war
restoration shop, a car collection. That's where his introduction to cars came from. A lot of people start out that way. So get a broom, push around a shop. A lot of places will hire you to do that. And they'll teach you. They'll teach you how to do this stuff. You have no one around to show you. Go ask your neighbor. He'll teach you how to do it too, I'm sure. He knows what he's doing and enjoys the car hobby as much as the average person does. He'll enjoy it. So, but, like I said, this is a business. Treat it as one. Don't just come in, interrupt it. Reach out, talk to me. Before I came down here, I was kind of sent Doug an email, and he responded. We communicated a little bit before I just showed up here and decided to do this. That's the proper way to go about things, especially when it is, again, a business. Don't trip over the employees. Don't take up too much time. Just be respectful. And if you're not, there's places like this around that won't allow nobody to come in and look at nothing. If you don't have the money to show up, they don't want you in here. You're wasting their time. This place, not that. Doug's a true car guy. Yeah, he's got a taste for the higher end vehicles, but doesn't matter. You gotta, like I always say, you have a 3-cylinder Metro. As long as you're playing with it, not riding it or doing something to it, we don't care. Get out and enjoy us. We'll bring you in. We'll show you the right place. So we got a big run coming up. Post the dates. We're all gonna head out of Daryl's. We're gonna head down to the Tail of the Dragon. That'll be a fun one. Doesn't matter what kind of car you drive or what you have. We'll welcome you in. Just get out and have fun with us and drive. That's why we call it Fun Run Cruises. So till then, I'm gonna post a link here in the corner-ish for Doug's channels. I'll post a link for his Switchcast, which comes out every Monday on his on Spotify. Enjoy it. So get out in the garage, get greasy, stay greasy, guys. Bye.